You said yes?
No, I'm recording as well.
I'm waiting to hear Shinner say yes, he's always recording.
Is that the African assassin?
Okay, gotcha, cool. So let's go. So let's get it. So what's the topic here? What are going to be debated here?
We could do like the topic we ran last time where we didn't get to finish.
God's existence. What's your stance on the topic?
I could just pick like maybe like a agnostic stance or just like a weak atheist stance.
That's fine. So I'll just take the position that God exists. I'll be defending the position that there's an omnipotent, omniscient creator. By God, I'm talking about an omnipotent, omniscient creator of the universe. Do we sign off on this definition? Yes or no?
I guess you can hold that as your definition. I mean, sincerely, because I'm taking a weak atheistic stance, I would obviously be denying that said definition, or of course, holding to being true.
You deny the definition, so you have a better definition of God?
No, I said that since I'm taking a weak atheistic stance, I wouldn't be really holding to that definition, but you can hold to that specific definition because you're affirming these specific views.
So then that means you're not, so what are you denying here? Because a weak atheist could be skeptical towards God existing, correct? Real quickly, yes or no?
What I'm denying in question...
Wait, yes or no? Just answer my question, because I don't want to do this dodging stuff. So a weak atheist, in your case, they would be skeptical towards God existing, correct?
So, when I consider a weak atheist...
Yes or no?
Yeah, I'm trying to answer the question. Can I please do that?
Yeah, but just by saying yes or no. I don't want to fluff and rant. I want a yes or no. So yes or no, would they be skeptical towards God existing? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question.
Well, I know it's not a trick question, but the whole thing, I feel like if I explain my semantics, I guess we can go off.
You don't have to do that. It's just a simple yes or no question. It's not a trick question. I'm not trying to gotcha here. Yes or no, before I progress my point onwards. Is a weak atheist going to, hold on, real quickly. Let's not do this, okay? So a weak atheist, you say you're a weak atheist in this conversation. So I'm asking you, as a weak atheist, are you skeptical or are you denying that God exists? Yes or no?
I would be
very simple question.
Type of skeptical, but here's the thing though. The reason why I'm
so the answer is yes. So the answer is yes. Just say yes. You don't have to be giving me this rant. So we both agree that a weak atheist will be taking this stance, whereas you're going to be skeptical towards God existing. Now, if you're going to be skeptical towards something existing, presumably you have an idea of what that thing is, but you don't know if that thing actually exists or not in the context of theology. So now I'm asking you, if you're going to be sitting here denying the definition, then that means when you're thinking of the word God, or when you use the word God, before you made the claim that you're skeptical of this concept existing, you're having a different definition. Because you claim to deny my definition, you don't hold to my definition. So what is the definition?
Yeah, so basically, I just have a question mainly about your specific definition because, I don't know if it aligns with any type of Abrahamic beliefs. Is outside of Abrahamic beliefs, is it tied to religious beliefs? Basically just this, omni properties. Is it tied to that? Yes or no?
So that doesn't answer my question. So we're going to try again. So the question I've asked you specifically was: is it the case that you hold to a better definition, considering that you made the claim to deny my definition?
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, the condition for me to deny your definition has to have an affirmation on that condition.
First, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question because you don't want to answer my questions. You just want to derail. So I'm going to answer your question. The answer is, of course, does conform. I'm going to answer your question because you begged me to answer your question, right? So the answer to your question is simply yes, it does conform with Abrahamic religion's definition because, for one, we see that in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the 2 of the 99 properties of Allah's nature, or rather sifat, for example, is being all-knowing and being all-powerful. So it conforms with their concept. So now the question has been answered, we're going to get back to my point. Now, the definition that I'll be operating under within this context, which is conventionally used in philosophy and theology, by the way, which for some reason you're not accepting, which is ridiculous, but we're going to get over that, right? So the definition is God is an omnipotent, omniscient creator of the universe. Do we accept or reject that definition before we move on into proving that this being exists? Yes or no? Not a fluff and rant, just a yes or no.
Specifically, I can go ahead and grant that I don't hold towards these specific Abrahamic gods existing. That's what I would consider an atheistic stance.
Irrelevant to my question. Want to try again?
that's an answer to the question, because that would have an...
No, it doesn't. We're not talking about your perspective on whether or not the thing exists. We're talking about your perspective on the definition of the terminology. So hold on a second. So what you're doing here is a metalinguistical analysis, not a ontological analysis. So you're just dead wrong with this. You're incorrect on your assessment here. I'm asking you, with respects to your definition of this linguistic token, if you understand what that is, do you accept the definition of presented? I'm not asking you if you accept the existence of the thing represented by the linguistic token. I'm asking you if you accept the definition of the linguistic token. There's a distinction between metalinguistics, or linguistical analysis, and ontological or metaphysical analysis. So could you please answer my question without derailing? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm saying I just hold towards a distinct definition of a God, and that's what I would consider.
What's your definition of God?
Yeah, I'm just saying anything that's outside of Abrahamic belief and shit like that. That's what I was trying to get to.
So you're telling me that the omnipotent, omniscient creator is not something which is in alignment with Abraham, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to change rooms. Go ahead.
You said that's you said the definition of God that you take to be different from my definition is something which is in alignment with Abrahamic definitions of God, or Abrahamic religious definition of God. Meaning that the claim you'd be making fundamental here is that my definition is out of alignment with Abrahamic religious definition. Could you prove this claim?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not really saying, oh yeah, your specific definition's out of alignment. Like, I don't know where you're getting that from. I'm saying
that's entailed from your agreement, by the way. That's entailed from what you just said.
Hold on. So first of all, let's talk about my sense. And when you asked me for my analytics of God, I sat there and gave you something that was outside of Abrahamic belief, so it's not entailed completely at all. I don't know what you're getting from. Considering that's an individualistic. Sorry, I started there. Individualistic, question towards a individual person. So I don't see why it would have to have some type of unilateral perspective on things. That's like kind of like retarded in that perspective. But go ahead. You see, like.
Yeah, so that was an irrelevant response with it. So that was a blasted, impotent response for this reason, right? You told me that your definition of God is distinct from my definition of God. And then you said your definition of God is in alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition, or what Abrahamic religion believes or perceives God as. So for it to be the case that your definition is distinct from my definition, or your definition is in alignment with what Abrahamic religion perceived God to be, it has to be the case that my definition has to be out of alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition, because if it was to be in alignment, then there'd be no distinction between my definition and your definition. But you believe there to be a distinction. So I'm going to ask you once again, what's the proof for it being out of alignment with Abrahamic religious definition of God? Tell me, what's the proof of that? That's the claim you're making fundamentally. That's the presupposition you're making here. Tell me.
Real quick, on before you start, going on, like, wait, tell me.
I'm not yelling.
I'm going to
ask the tone police me.
Okay, so I'm trying to ask a question. It's a clarifying question, right? I'm asking you.
Another dodge, huh?
Are you referring to a unilateral perspective? Like, because I couldn't fully hear you because you're like fucking muffling, like just like whatever your fucking mic's doing. I just it's muffled.
My mic is bugging, so I'll just repeat myself. Shinner, am I bugging on the recording? Because I'm not going to talk if I'm bugging out.
So I'm just gonna sit here and like ask again real quick.
Chat, could you tell me if I'm bugging out or something? Because I can go to a place with better connection.
Might just be my device, but I'm just gonna sit here and like ask.
Wait, I'm gonna ask the chat first before we continue, because I'm not gonna be talking when my mic is bugging out. I want the recorder to get every single thing I'm saying.
So don't worry, you're not bugging out, bro. You're not bugging out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Continue. Go ahead, Sib. Continue.
Yeah. So the thing I'm trying to ask is that were you saying last time that your definitions entail to have some type of distinction from Abraham beliefs as well because of mine, or like I was not hearing you correctly?
That's a deflection, and I've never made that claim. If you get the recording of me making that claim, that would be lovely, but I've never made that claim. Now again, I'm going to re-ask the question, right? So the presupposition you're making here is that my definition of God, which is simply an omnipotent, omniscient creator, is out of alignment with the Abrahamic religion's definition. And I'm going to ask you one more time, hopefully you'll answer this on the fifth try. Is it the case that you have proof for this claim? And if so, what's the proof for the claim that my definition is out of alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition?
You said out of alignment?
Yep. What's the proof of that claim?
First of all, I wasn't even targeting your definition or analytics. I was just giving my analytics. There was no claim towards your analytics. I'm simply saying my definition has a disagreement with your specific definition, right? So, like, I don't know where you messed up.
You telling me that you deny my definition is you talking about my definition. So you're in fact targeting my definition by expressing your disbelief towards my definition and your belief towards a different definition, which I think is more conventional and is in alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition. So that's incorrect. You're wrong at that.
No, I don't think my definition would be in alignment with Abrahamic religion, considering I'm taking.
You just said your definition of God is in alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition of God, which is what makes it different from my definition.
Abrahamic religion. If it disagrees with that, it should have no agreement with on it. Like, that's just a fucking contradiction.
You're not understanding. This is on the recording, and you're embarrassing yourself, right? 1,000% you said specifically, I'm 1,000% certain enough that you can roll back the clip afterwards, and you're going to be embarrassed. What you said verbatim, word for word, is my definition is in alignment with the Abrahamic religious definition after you said you denied my definition.
No,
what are you talking about? That's your definition of God.
It disagrees with it. I affirm some type of deity existence, but it's outside of Abrahamic religions. You're the one who gave the affirmation saying it aligns with that by affirming some type of omni properties when I asked the question. You agreed to that and you gave an example by sitting there and saying...
Yeah, so firstly, what you said was that your definition was in alignment with it. So that's just a switch of the claims. But anyways, let's move forward.
I'm saying you're saying and taking the atheistic stance. There's no agreement with that.
Yeah, you're not really understanding what's going on here. This is embarrassing stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rerun the dialogue here and just hopefully can stay on track here, right? So let's see. The definition that I present of God, which is omnipotent, omniscient creator, it seems to be the case that you don't take it to be true that an omnipotent, omniscient creator would be God, correct?
Sorry, what? I screwed my back. Okay, so you said, just for...
no, hold on, real quickly. I'm going to re-ask the question. You're not going to just not share my question and then talk over me and derail from my actual question. So I'm going to re-ask the question because you're dodging.
Omniproperty.
Yes.
Right? Okay, right.
Yes, you take that to be God, yes or no?
Okay, what I take to be God, right? You're asking that question?
I'm asking you to take that specifically to be sufficient or something to be God.
Okay. First of all, are you asking in terms of your analytics or my analytics? Because we had a whole entire confusion about...
Oh my God, dude. So I'm going to re-ask the question in a different way. So I'm going to give you a multiple choice question. It's going to be 3 options, A, B, and C. So is it going to be the case that given your definition or your analysis, your concept of God, irrespective of believing this concept to exist or not, is it the case that given your concept of God, it is the case that a sufficient condition for something to be God is for it to be an omnipotent, omniscient creator of the universe? A, yes. B, no. C, neither of the above. Therefore, I'm a dumb fuck dodger. Which one is it?
Okay, so you're talking about your analytics. Great. Glad you
A, B, or C. Which one is it? Is it C?
One of the options.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Holy shit, man. Stop doing it.
I'm waiting for the yes or no. Or maybe it's just going to be C, which is going to be you being a dumb fuck and you being a dodger. Which one is it?
Again, I'm going to answer the question. I don't think your analytics...
Yes or no?
We're saying, oh yeah, omni property or omni...
So the answer is C. So the answer is C.
No, I'm answering the question. If you just heard me,
So what's the yes or no? Which one is it?
It's sufficient, right? I just said it's not sufficient.
Okay, so that means the answer is B. The answer is B, no. Got you. So that means that we're not even having the debate properly, but there's no debate here to be had because when you're saying you're skeptical or deny that God exists, you're talking about something completely different. Correct?
Okay, so first of all, I'm just saying that your idea of God is like...
Yes or no? It was a yes or no question, by the way.
Because I'm not going to keep playing this.
I'm not asking for a TED Talk or an autobiography. I'm asking for a yes or no to my question. You're just derailing, you're deflecting, and this is embarrassing. This is bad for you optically. This is optically embarrassing. This is optically embarrassing. Look, lock in. I'm going to re-ask the question. I'm going to re-ask the question. Okay? I'm going to re-ask the question. The question is, you're just deflecting. This is embarrassing. The question is, would it be the case, do you agree now that there's no debate proposition to be had? Yes or no?
Right? Can I ask you a question?
Deflecting again.
Right?
You won't answer the question. Do you even know what the question is? What was my question? What was my most
Just
recent
so we
question?
can go back into the substance.
What was my most recent question?
And if you follow
We're
along,
on the substance. We're talking about the necessary conditions for there to be even the debates right now. What was my most recent question? Tell me. You don't remember, don't you?
Simple multiple choice one. When you're talking about your fucking.
No, that was not the most recent question, you moron, you idiot. My most recent question was me asking you, do you now agree that given the fact that you have a different definition of God because you rejected my analytics of God, then that means you're talking past each other? And I said, correct. And you derailed and went off to a non-point again. We're just talking past each other. We're not agreeing. There's no debate prop here. Because when you're just saying that you're skeptical of God existing, you have a completely different notion of what God is. So that's irrelevant. We're not even debating again. There's no debate to be had.
Okay.
Because what I mean by God is something completely different.
Paul, let me lay this out for you, and I hope you can surely understand. I hope I'm coherent enough because I can certainly write down an entire biography for you for my entire semantics if you want. So I'm going to give this to you.
I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for all that.
Do you need my semantics?
I'm not asking for all that. That's irrelevant. You're not even understanding the fundamental issue of this fella.
Explain this at BC, or do you need to write it? Do you need it written?
Yeah, this guy is just
explain to BC?
lost in the conversation. Dude, you understand that when you have a debate proposition, hold on. If I'm debating you on whether or not, let's say, unicorns exist, and if you mean by unicorn like a rock, if by unicorn, when you use that word, only mean there's rock, and by a unicorn, what I mean is a horse with a horn which flies around in the sky, and I say unicorns do not exist, and you say unicorns exist. You understand we're not disagreeing, right? There's no disagreement there because we're just talking past each other. The same logic applies here. If you have a different definition of God, which is not the same as my definition of God and is completely different given your own perspective, then essentially we're talking past each other and there's no meaningful disputes, and therefore there cannot be a debate to begin with. There's no debate proposition. Which is why I keep on asking you, do you sign up on my definition, at least for the sake of the conversation? Just answer the question, dude.
So, real quick, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to explain to you, right? And I don't think that's analogous at all, by the way. I'm going to explain why if you want to. So first of all, when you explain...
I didn't expect you to believe that, by the way, because you just don't...
dispensing towards or just stipulating with that analogy, right? You're trying to get that measurement of how the conversation is going, right? Trying to fit that analogy in there, right? I don't think when you sit there and affirm that, oh yeah, I'm saying this possibly can, I'm just going to explain. I hope I can calm down real quick because this fucking meta rambling is bullshit. But, the unicorn point is that it's supposed to be analogous, right? And basically, you're affirming two definitions, right? But we're talking about one that agrees with Abrahamic things, right? The God in question is yours. You're the one who said that's in line with that. Via the only properties, you gave the example via giving the 99 properties of Allah, right? See, that is sitting there and aligning with Abrahamic things, right? I'm sitting here saying, oh yeah, I can agree with the notion of a God existing, but it's not concretely the same or identical towards yours, right? So I am sitting here and offering a chance of definitions, right? Trying to understand your analytics so we can go off your analytics and argue about that specific God and see if an actual omnipotent...
Okay, so the answer is you're willing. So just to be clear on this, because just to wrap up the little autobiography session you're giving after, right? So basically, you're willing to operate under my definition for the sake of this conversation to have a debate? Yes or no?
Okay, so are you asking in the sense, are we arguing over, or are you asking me to agree to it?
What part of my sentence was hard to understand, retard?
I'm trying to ask you of the implicatives. Like, I'm not asking for a direct clarity.
I'm going to re-ask the question, okay? Because you have this, nasty tendency to just say everything but a yes or no to yes or no questions, right? So the question I'm asking you is, are you willing, even if you disagree with my definition and you have a different idea of God, are you willing to go under my definition of God for the sake of having a debate right now? Yes or no?
Yeah, okay. I asked you in which context, and the context is we're sitting
in the context of this conversation. What other context could I be talking about?
Of the conversation. But which fucking
in the context of this conversation, we're just trying to aim to have a debate on the given topic, dude. What are you talking about? I'm actually going to crash out. This guy's retarded. I'm going to crash out. Oh shit, dude. Just say yes or no to my question.
I'm asking you, and you're
what is hard to answer?
What's important to the specific context of the conversation? Go ahead and answer it.
No, he's just lost. He just does not have working brain cells anymore, guys. Look, I'm asking you again. And this is, before you even try to answer my question, I'm gonna ask anyone in the voice call to see if this question is complex or is it just a simple yes or no question, which is not a trick question. So yes or no, say, but this is just a honest question. I'm not trying to get you in a rat trap or anything, or dialectically trap you into like anything, right? I'm asking you, is it the case that you're willing, irrespective of you disagreeing with my definition, are you willing to agree and go under my definition of what God is for the sake of having a debate on the topic of whether or not God exists? Yes or no? And by the way, before you even give your rant, wait, before you respond, chat or anyone in the voice call, is this question too complex to answer? Can you not just say a yes or no to it? Is it too complex? Does it require like a 10-minute ranting session and you just ask for context of that bullshit? Is it a simple question, chat? I just want to hear the chat's opinions on this. Maybe I'm tripping out. I'm not sure. Like, what's going on? Simple yes or no question? Okay, gotcha. Very simple. Okay, so even someone who has a consistent trend of disagreement with me agrees. It's very simple. Okay, now I want to hear your answer, and I hope I don't get like an overly extended response, which is neither a yes nor a no to my. Let me hear what this is going to say.
All right. So the consensus from Val, I wouldn't take that because I mean, Mr. Two Yeshayas, ain't really very competent there. But I'm gonna sit here and try my best to answer the question. Seemingly, I was trying to ask what operate goes under, as in agreeing to argue over the definition, as that's what my
agree with my definition, obviously.
Okay,
obviously.
Finally, we got an answer to the question. We finally got an answer to the question.
That was a dumb question you had to ask me. That was a dumb, obvious question you had to ask me. What does operate mean?
Holy shit, bro.
I finally answered your dumbass question because I never thought someone could understand what it means to operate under something. I thought you're socially competent. I thought you're mentally competent enough to understand what it means to say that you're operating under a given definition. But apparently, I had to teach you basic social cues and kind of take your pockets and walk you through what it means to say this claim. But yes, but what I mean when I'm asking if you're going to operate under my definition is it going to be agreed with my definition? Yes, Seiba. That was a very obvious thing. That was a very obvious answer. I never expected you to ask me this dumb question, this dumb, obvious question. I expected a more substantive response. So is the answer a yes or no?
Holy shit, bro.
Holy shit is not a response to my question. You want to try again?
Sure, I can argue under that definition. I'll argue against the definition.
Lovely. So the answer is a yes. Lovely. We're getting there. We're having some progression, guys. Okay, got you. So just to refresh the debate, refresh the conversation, guys. So basically, the definition of God we're both going under for the sake of this dialectical discourse is an omnipotent, omniscient creator. My opponent Seiba will be taking the negation insofar as he's a weak atheist. He's skeptical of this being existing, and they'll be taking the affirmative. I affirm that this being exists, given my theistic commitments. Now, I presume this is going to ask for an argument, which I'll give an argument right now. However, this argument is going to hinge on certain meta-ontological commitments, which I'll ask him quite frankly, what is this meta-ontological analysis? What is your meta-ontology?
Sorry, I didn't hear anything. I was just focused on, cleaning my face with water because I'm sweating.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, you asked for a meta-ontological analysis, yeah?
Yeah, what's your meta-ontology?
Yeah, so, okay, so mainly are you asking for the meta-ontology, like some like concretely existing like God, for an example? Or just existence in general?
Universally general for the existence concept.
All right, yeah. Maybe I could just sit here and say, I accept maybe about reality being like some type of subjective experience, but I'm not going to go down that route, and I could just accept some type of other existential cause for reality, except not specifically a creator.
Wait, hold on, stop. What is meta-ontology?
You I asked you a question and you answered universally for specifically speaking about the inquiry about existence.
No, you asked me for the context, right? So you're asking if I'm talking specifically about God's case of created existence or something else. I'm saying I'm talking about universally. Now I'm going to ask you because all of your responses just seems to be really intellectually bankrupt, respectfully. What is your definition of meta-ontology here?
Definition of meta-ontology, just the standard definition. Should be any other definition. So let me get this.
What's the definition?
Let me get this straight real quick, just to make sure I'm not tripping. Something that you
Holy
asked.
shit, dude!
No. It's very simple and very quick. When you say universally, right? You're referring to existence.
I'm torturing myself, Brian. I'm intellectually torturing myself with this debate.
Are you asking, dude, specifically about
Why do you make simple questions so complicated? This is not rocket science. This is not quantum mechanics. This is not like some high-level chemistry. Dude, these are just basic questions which even the average layman could understand. What is your definition of this? What do you mean by this? Very simple stuff. What are you doing, dude? You have to go all the way into like these galaxies of rabbit holes and not actually answer very basic one-dimensional questions. Answer.
Yeah, mainly speaking was, you do realize when you say meta-debate analysis, right? I asked you in reference towards God's existence, concretely existing, or existence. You said universally. So universally applying towards specifically like existence, or are you applying that towards specifically?
That is what meta-ontology is about, you dumbass nigga. Holy shit, meta-ontology is only about existence concepts. What else could it be about?
Okay, so you were confused over that, and despite that, you asked
confused about what? What am I confused about? Because I can just flip that.
No. Okay, go on.
Right?
Okay, go on.
If you knew what meta-ontology is, which you don't, if you knew what meta-ontology is, which you don't, you'd have not been asking me these clarifying questions with obvious answers, because you'd have already known the answer, because you know what meta-ontology is, which you don't, because you're not read that. So by meta-ontology, what I mean here. So I'm not going to continue to press you for a definition because you're never going to give a definition because you're shy. You know for a fact if you give a definition, you might slip up and might look embarrassed. Okay, so meta-ontology is just assessing the conditions for existence, right? Primarily in this context. Now, tell me what defines or what are the defining or what is the defining condition for existence? Please.
I said some type of other like cause that is not God. In that sense, I mean,
some other cause that is not God. So what do you mean by exist is some other cause which is not God? That's what you mean by exist?
Some that causes existence, and then I take some type of physicalist
stance. Something that causes existence. That is a retarded definition. That is one of the most retarded definitions I've ever heard in my entire life, by the way.
You didn't hear me out, right? I said something other than that is not God is a ultimate cause which causes reality to exist.
Okay, so we're going to type out the definition from Seiba of what existence is. Okay, so existence. So your definition of existence. Relax, dude. Just just relax. Put that pacifier in your mouth for a second and just take a breather. So existence. Just repeat the definition. So for the debate,
right? Since we're debating God's existence, right? Yes.
No, just what's your definition of existence? Stay on topic. Stay on track.
Yeah.
I'm trying to not be retarded.
I'm trying to answer the question.
Existence. Right? Okay, so answer the question right now. Just don't try to use these word switch-ups midpoint while they're trying to answer the question to derail the conversation. Existence. Right. What is your definition of existence in the context of ontological conversations, existential claims? I'm going to type it out.
I think reality is concrete. Obviously speaking wise, I said something that is not God. A cause causes reality to exist, therefore
existence is something that is not God?
No, I did not say that, right?
So that means it was dodged to my question. We're going to try again. So my question was me asking you, what is your definition of existence? If you're telling me that what you're saying right now is that you're giving a definition of existence, then that means you're answering or responding to my question. I'm going to ask you again. Existence, let's start over. Strike number two for the retard. Existence. Let's start again. What's your definition?
Okay, so
I don't know why you're tapping into the chat to convince people you're winning the conversation. That's my point. Existence.
Causes existence.
So existence is a cause which is not God. What else?
Oh no.
So that was what you just verbatim. You said a while ago, a cause which is not God. You want to play the rhetoric game?
I'm trying to
You want to do this?
my answer.
We can play the rhetoric game as much as you want. That's fine. That's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, let's step up the rhetoric. So look at this though. Existence. I'm asking you, what's your defining conditions for existence? Now you said, out of your dumb retarded lips or dumb retarded mouth, you said existence is a cause which is not God. Now, if you're going to tell me right now that what you're telling me is not something which is the definition of existence, then essentially it was a dodge to my question. It was a deflection. So we're going to try again. Third try. Existence. What is your definition of existence? And I assume, by the way, that everything which comes out of your mouth after this question is going to be a definition of existence. So what's the definition of existence?
You know what, right? So
Tell me.
cut me off this time. Try not to cut me off. Listen clearly. It's not.
I'm listening. Go ahead. Respond.
Good boy.
Stop to the posture.
Good
Stop to
boy.
the retarded posture. Good boy. He says. Seiba says while trying to retarded posture, thinking retarded dominant. Yeah, each time he thinks that he calls someone a good boy, thinks he's going to be retarded persuasive. But is Seiba going to answer the questions? Or just trying to posture because he's a retard? Let's see. Waiting for the answer. Waiting for the answer.
I simply said that existence is caused by a cause which is not God, but concretely exists.
Existence is a cause. Existence is repeat.
No,
wait, hold on. Mumbo jumbo time. Oh, you're spewing mumbo jumbo. You're spewing mumbo jumbo. The vacuous mumbo jumbo. Repeat back the sentence. Let's go slowly. We're going to type it out together. Okay? Existence is, you're scared for me to type out the definition because you know for a fact the moment I type out the word for it, dumb shit you say. You can't lie about you never saying this because you have it typed down in the chat. So we're going to go slowly. Just repeat the words very slowly so that we know for a fact that no one is getting the words incorrect or no one misheard it. So existence is caused by a cause which is not God but concretely exists. That's your definition? Retard?
That's what I was saying. Something existing to be. Existence as a whole is something concrete. And then there's a space which
existence as a whole is something concrete. Wait, stop. Don't talk while I'm typing out the word. Just let me type this out first. And then we'll get back. Existence as a whole is something which is concrete. You signed up for this proposition, right? Retard? Check the chat.
All right, do you have any type of objection or no?
Hold on. Do you sign off on it? Yes or no?
Sign off with this. I mean, you know what? So we
That's what this is verbatim. We are typing out what you're saying in real time. We're typing out what you're saying in real time. So you cannot say don't sign off with this because you just said it. Yes or no? Do you sign off for this?
To get past this point, you know what? Sure, go ahead. Holy shit! Because when I try
past this point, it's an obvious yes. You just said this verbatim. Anyway, so moving on. So before, and just to be clear for the audience, by the way, and for the recording and people who watch this recording, right? When I demolish or expose the retarded nature of this definition or this point, he cannot say that I'm strong man in his position. He cannot say that I'm misinterpreting his position, nor can he say that he didn't say this because we have it typed out in the chat. So you cannot lie about you never saying this, like what the retards do when they get caught in a rat trap. Okay, lovely. Now, do you believe it is logically possible for there to be non-concrete existence?
No. Well, I would just assign to a modal anti-realist and accept only one possible world.
Yes or no?
So, again, okay, wait, when you say logically possible, are you like affirming some type of modal realist like thing? Or are you like saying, oh yeah.
No, you dumbass. Obviously not. It's conceptually open to both modal fictionalism and modal realism. Now answer my question. Yes or no? Come on, dude. I believe in you, son. Answer the question.
Okay, so you're asking me, right, the question. You know,
oh, he doesn't understand the question. He's lost in the sauce. He's lost in the sauce. You're lost in the sauce, dude. Answer the question, you dumbass. Nigga, answer the question.
And you're like,
yes or
not cut me off? Yes or no?
Can you just answer the question, yes or no?
Just how many times do I have to kill you, sweetheart? Oh, hell no.
I don't know who that guy was, but anyways, answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're asking if it's logically,
is it logically possible? Mm-hmm. Yeah, is it logically possible?
Something non-concrete to
is it logically possible for there to be a non-concrete existence? Yes or no? Is that logically possible?
I would be denying that because of contradictions.
you'll be denying this because what? Sorry.
Because of course, contradictions within the ontology of existence. I mean, it's pretty simple. You should have already deducted that, but I have to explain that because you're wouldn't want to insult you, but go ahead.
The stutter is embarrassing. So let's just go back. So
Okay.
I ask you this question not because I don't believe there's a logical contradiction given your definition, but to test your consistency to see if you're going to trap yourself in like a retard. So you're consistent with your dumb definition. That's fine. So what do you define as concrete?
Defined as concrete, something which is actually existing, mind independent.
Okay, so you understand that like this is not the general definition of what concrete means in philosophy.
Okay, can you go ahead and wait? Just
Prove
a
that
question.
claim?
Wait, hold on. No,
I'm to prove that. That's easy. I can prove it right now. You want me to prove it? Yes or no?
No, I didn't say
Okay, gotcha. So what do you want me to answer?
No, okay, right. So no clowning off the side. I would appreciate that. But mainly speaking, do you think there's something wrong with my semantical content? Yes or no?
So that doesn't really answer my question. That doesn't really just my.
I'm asking
right?
you.
So you always do this thing. So guys, this is the dumb fuck debate strategy stage 1. So when they get asked a question, they ask the person another question to derail from the actual question, and then accuse the person of dodging their question, which is irrelevant to the original question. Now I'm going to re-ask the question, which is, do you understand that your definition of concreteness or concrete existence is not is not reflective of the conventional definition of concrete, both in a layman interpretational sense and in a academic philosophical scholastic sense? Yes or no? Do you understand?
Can you? I just asked you if you had any type of problems, which you're now affirming. You can go ahead and explain. Yes or no?
So the dumb fuck debate strategy on display stage 1 again. So ask me a question instead of answering my question. I ask the question first, answer my question.
So you asked me if I understand. I'm putting the thing you said into question. Go ahead and just go ahead and explain or just define what philosophically, academically speaking.
That doesn't answer my question. I've asked you a simple yes or no question. Every single time I ask you a simple yes or no question, you make the question more complex than it actually is, and don't respond to the question. It's like you're so I always reject this.
Answer the question. Bitch made up. What is this lame?
Who is this guy, dude?
Hey,
Are you his boyfriend or something? Are you his boyfriend or something? Who's this guy? His boyfriend stepping into the conversation to basically just give him some running points. Look, if he thinks they're mocking me in the sidelines, he's going to give his boyfriend some rhetorical points. And no one's going to read him, by the way. He's loving the fact that someone interrupts So look at this. He just keeps on going, no moderation, no music, because this is what the server loves. The server loves seats and it gets framed when it gets framed into the conversation. By the way, clear this. You can be super clear. We have this on the recording. We have this on the clip. So this is embarrassing for not just Seiba, but his boyfriends also. Thank you very much for the person who muted him, but let's just get back. And by the way, Seiba, just because your boyfriend interrupted just to save you a while ago, I still remember the question because I have great tracking skills, I have great memory, I have great articulation, and a great level of intelligence. So I didn't want to do it again. It's interrupting me. Look at the boyfriend. Save this kiddo. Look at this son. Look at this kid. What a moron. What an imbecile. Just want to step into the conversation. And Seiba loves this. He's on mute, hoping that the conversation derails. Now back to you, Seiba. Don't forget the question, by the way. As I've told, because my memory speed and tracking speed is unparalleled. So I'm telling you right now, my question was me asking you, do you understand that your definition of concrete in the context of that specific definition is not in conformity with the colloquial and the academic definition? Yes or no?
And I ask
Do you accept that it is in conformity with it, or do you reject this? Which one is it?
So, again, you said, or just made the affirmative claim that my definition is not in alignment with academically, philosophically, or just layman.
Everything but a yes or a no to my question.
I'm putting your affirmative claim, which followed the
affirmative claim.
So, you go ahead and provide the definition instead of
someone can ask if you understand something which is false without making the claim that's true. That's not an affirmative claim. I'm not making any claim to my question. I'm asking you, do you understand this to be the case? You could just say, I don't accept it to be the case. I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Without me affirming that it is in fact.
Clearly,
so
if I'm
yes or no?
you to provide a philosophical
He just
definition,
won't answer the question. He just won't answer the question. He just won't answer.
the question. I want the definition to answer the
So
question.
he's not answering the question. So that's a dodge. That's a deflection. He just won't answer the question. So since you just won't answer any questions because, you just don't have the intellectual and mental acuity and faculty to engage with basic questions, basic one-dimensional, simple, rudimentary questions. I'm going to do the job for you, and then I'm going to give my perspective on my own question, which is directed towards you, which you're dodging and running away from like Usain Bolt. The answer is yes, I do in fact understand, Apollo, that this is in fact not in conformity with the academic definition and the layman definition. And the reason as to why I understand this, Apollo, is because when I check the definition of concreteness on SCP, it's defined in virtue of spatio-temporal relations, a spatio-temporal object. That is not the indication that you mentioned in this conversation. So yes, Apollo, I understand this. You see, Sable, I just took your role in this conversation, answered a very simple question, and just taught you how to answer questions. That's how you answer questions, Sable. You don't go up on derail points and try to rant and meta-rant into irrelevant stuff and try to basically get the person making an affirmative claim. You just say a yes or a no, and then give your perspective afterwards. That's how you answer questions, son. So moving forward, I expect you to learn something from the mini lecture. Now, we're going to do this again. You said that your definition of existence is going to be that which is concrete existence, which is mind independent. So that means your definition of existence is that which is mind independent, correct?
So,
correct.
No, hold on.
Answer is an obvious yes. It is correct. He just can't answer questions. I'm going to take Saba's role again. Yes, Apollo, that is correct because I specifically defined concrete existence into my definition of existence and into concreteness to be mind independence. The answer is yes, Apollo. Okay, Saba, the answer is yes. So you have to do your job for you because you're retarded. So the answer is yes, Saba. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Because I just can't answer questions, I'm going to have to do it for you, even though it's obviously a yes, given the entailments of what you've said previously. So, with that being taken into perspective, do you think that imaginations exist? Do you think you have imaginations? Yes or no?
Oh, my. You know what? I'm going to explain something to you real quick. Maybe I
have to take Saba's role again. I have to take Saba's role again. Do I have to do this again, like the third time? Yes or no? Do you agree that imaginations exist? Not mind independently, but do you agree they exist? Yes or no? Do you have imaginations?
So I'm trying to give some type of response, but I keep getting cut off. I wonder why.
Yeah, you're not giving the response to my question. You're just talking to yourself and just talking to something else.
Your question, I feel like a fully explained thing, which isn't too long. I'm pretty sure can simply just go ahead and give you some.
You just can't answer questions, can't you? You just can't answer questions.
No, because you think because
my God, dude.
You think somehow that if I ask a yes or no question constantly, consistently without action,
waiting for the answer, Lothar. Waiting for the answer.
So I'm gonna go ahead and explain something real quick. Now, no cutting off this time.
Waiting for the answer. Yes or no? Do you have imaginations?
So I can go ahead and speak.
Do you have imaginations, dude?
Can I get some moderation so I can speak before he tries?
You need moderation to say a yes or no.
I just don't want you to cut me off so I can actually speak. Preferably,
I won't cut you off if you say yes or no, which are the only relevant responses.
No, that is not the only relevant responses.
It is the only relevant response because the question is talking about whether or not you agree to disagree on something. So if you're saying something outside of you agreeing to disagree on it, then it would be irrelevant by definition.
No, because I have a lot to say about some of the claims you've been making.
A lot outside of you agreeing to disagreeing, then that means it's irrelevant.
No, it's not outside. It's within the said things brought up within the convo. That's what's relevant.
You're stuttering. You're fumbling. You're stumbling. You're stammering. You know for a fact you're saying nonsense. You know it. You know it deep down, but your debate bro intuitions don't want to actually accept it. Your debate bro mentality don't want to accept the very obvious reality. If you dodge in my question because you're a Lothar. Right? So I'm just asking if you agree to disagree on something. That's all I'm asking, dude. Do you agree that you have imagination, Sable? Not a trick question.
So
have you ever imagined something, Sable? Have you ever imagined the Santa Claus? Answer. Wait.
So again, right?
10 seconds.
I just put you on a local mute real quick so I can actually fucking speak. Holy shit, man.
10, 9, 8,
right? So,
7.
specifically speaking,
Six.
I'm going to and give you a response. And
Okay, so he starts responding. Let's see if he's going to answer the question.
so, one thing I just want to go back onto was another point was the philosophical
Go back
definition.
onto something else. Oh, so you're not going to answer the question. You're going to go to something else, the previous point. Okay, cool. That's a dodge again.
I'm going to go
This is
back
what I'm talking
because
about.
like, I had a response, but I wasn't allowed to like fucking speak because that like fucking guy came in.
You do not have a relevant response. I can grant you the response, but it was a irrelevant trash response to my question. So I'm going to have to cut you off and put you back on track.
Good Lord, bro. Holy shit, man. So, real quick, can I just get some type of moderation to get this guy to shut up and like so I can speak? Like I've been asking for that
This
for
guy
a
just
while.
won't answer any questions. Oh my god, dude.
Guy packing into.
I'll give you 30 seconds to talk. I'll go on mute right now.
Severe.
And let's see if we're going to actually respond to my question.
Okay, so he's finally on mute. Holy shit, man, right? So the thing I want to get into, mainly speaking wise, was the thing about like the definitions point. So I can actually argue on that point and fucking defend myself instead of you claiming, oh yeah, it's incorrect or not colloquial with the specific academic philosophical definition, right? You made that claim, right? I want to sit here and try and go against that claim, provide some type of actual response which is sufficient for my own point, right? Instead of you consistently cutting me off. So for the recording, to be honest, he keeps cutting me off because he's actually a little scared fucking pussy, right? So I hope that hurt his ego too. So when I say concretely existing, I just mean it's physical.
Oh, hey, I'm unmuted now.
Stop.
Yo, actually, I have to stop, bro. I have to stop.
I'm just trying to speak. I keep like too many fucking interruptions, bro. Holy shit, man. So when I said something concretely exists, I said I'm taking a physicalist stance where everything's preserved within space-time. Like that's what a physicalist should accept. Everything's fucking physical, where it's like grounded by that. That's like the implications of that specific stance. Like that's the implications. I'm not saying I verbatim stated that, but that should be within the specific taken thing. When I sit here and say, oh yeah, it's physical in that sense, because before, I got forced to agree to a specific definition, that's something I said, right? But even then, concretely existing should have that implicated because, as you said, it's spatio-temporal, like space-time fucking relations, fucking like implicated with that. It's relationship indicative of that, right? That's what you even said. So I don't see why, by definition, would it fail to align specifically, even if it has the implicatives, right? Concretely existing. So something concretely existing. Existence is within space-time. Again, if there's something wrong with that view, I want some type of response towards that worldview, which kind of goes against that semantic entailment. Because severely speaking wise, I don't see why you sit here saying, oh yeah, it's not necessarily the same way. But not going ahead and providing why, again, like you just definition.
I can finish now. Yeah, that's right.
Specific
Yeah, so 20 seconds of our time have been wasted. Oh, he's not done yet. Finish up. He's not done. No. He sounds autistic. He can't even track us. He sounds autistic.
You're not going to speak over me. Shut the fuck up. Holy shit.
You've been speaking over me the entire time. We've been speaking over each other.
You let me. I'm supposed
We've been speaking over each other, you moron.
Look. Oh my god, look. Wait. Seiba. I'm gonna put you on mute real quick. Look, guys, for the whole VC, who do you guys want to speak for now? Because, to be honest, I don't think I'm properly tracking the convo. So for anybody in this VC, who do you guys want to speak? Is it Apollo or is it, I'm about to say Axel, or is it Seiba? Please tell me in the VC or tell me in chat. Do not waste our fucking time. If not, all right, Apollo said himself, he'll let Seiba finish. All right, cool. Now, I'll make sure, right, now even if Seiba like yaps too much, I'll just make sure that till he's done, like I'm going to just apply complete moderation. So when a person is done speaking, I'll get the other person who was speaking prior muted, and then the other person can get his response done. So there's no interruption. Because to be honest, like it's just getting annoying now. Is this Seiba? Yeah, it's Seiba. You can go speak.
All right, fucking finally. Holy shit, we got some moderation. I'm glad. So specifically, again, if you want me to give a more concise repetition of my point as I was trying to get or just grant, I said that my definition wouldn't necessarily not align because, specifically speaking, you said, well, which is concretely existing. Existence would be implied to have some type of entailment of existing within some type of spatio-temporal space. As you said, that's what concretely existing is. I said, obviously, that would have the implications of being like physical. And even then, before, I agreed to the specific definition or sat there and, said, oh yeah, for the sake of moving on from this point about definitions, of course, for meta-ontological analysis, I sat there and specifically stated something which is, of course, caused by something that is not God, right? And then I proceeded to sit there and say, followed by this, right? Just make sure you're listening. It was followed by something concretely existing in some type of physicalist thing that is concretely existing, which you even granted existing within spatio-temporal things, right? So if you're going to sit here and say, oh yeah, this still does not align with the definition, despite granting that said analytics, you're going to make yourself look even more fucking retarded now that I'm actually capable of actually fucking speaking and not going on this, wait, answer this, yes or no, fucking TikTok fucking star fucking going in, oh yeah, double or not, give it to the next person looking at us. Holy shit, man. That's what got me angry because I keep going on this shit, right? But moving on to another point. You're asking me if imaginations exist, right? My definition is only aligned towards physical things. And then you ask me, oh yeah, is it logically possible for non-concrete things to exist? If you're going to sit here and say, oh yeah, I'm going to use imagination to sit here and prove this to you that it's logically possible. My definition is only bilateral, which bilateral is only thing assigned to one specific thing. That means it's applied towards concretely existing. It's not unilateral with, subjective experience. If you think subjective experience is the same as concretely existing within the same space or something like that, you're going to choose a conflation, a stance of that. And I want you to go ahead and give the, justification for the said worldview or conflation, a stance about those two specific existences, about reality, right? Holy shit, man. I'm finally able to speak, right? Let's get on to the other point real quick. Again, I want to, track over this point about God's existence, just the definitions point. Right? I was trying to ask you under the operation, oh yeah, is it agreeing or trying to sit here and say, oh yeah, let's argue over this specific definition, which then you answered like fucking three attempts later, you answered, you sat there and say, oh yeah, it's agreeing, right? Again, I was trying to give my own definition and obviously say, oh yeah, it's not in alignment with, specifically Abrahamic religions. I was talking about my analytics, not your analytics, okay? So we can finally track instead of you having this fucking, mic control, conversation control with, now that we have moderation, I can finally fucking speak and, just stop being an asshole about things and just let things flow continuously so we can actually have a proper conversation, stop being bad faith. And there's my fucking responses towards specific things and affirmative claims, right? Your affirmative claim being, oh yeah, it does not line up with, the philosophical definitions when clearly it does. If the concrete is being used, that definition has to be applied because that's what's, typically speaking about existence. And even if you want to say, oh yeah, that's a pause, that's the specific thing I want to bring up. Holy shit, man. It's still implied. And I wanted you to, it's just semantically ambiguous because you can't figure it out, but informally you already figured it out, so I don't see why, that would have any problems because, first of all, you just defined it and then you said, oh yeah, that's not...
Wait. My bad. Hold on. Wait.
You don't find any fucking problem with the definition I provided. Holy shit, man. Go ahead.
Give me a second. Hold on. Let me put you on mute real quick. I had to do something, so I'll go on mute. I'll let Apollo talk. For the meantime, give me a second. Apollo, you can respond now. I'll need to go on mute because I need to do something.
Spinner, how many more minutes do you have left? You can answer my DMs. Fucking embarrassing. Okay, just keep on recording, please, and thank you. Let's try to wrap this up in 30 minutes or something. This is very special, retarded. So just to respond to what you said, he just yaps on forever and not say anything of substance. His original definition of concrete was just to be mind dependent. Now he's changed the definition because I educated him on what concrete actually is, which is something being spatial temporal, as something which has physicalist commitments and implications. Meaning that given this definition, you cannot have a non-physical thing, but therefore definite. Now, first and foremost, by a spatial temporal thing, and you can unmute them afterwards because I won't yes or no questions, because yes or no answer, because what he's doing is the reason as to why is that he has an issue with these yes or no type of questions is because it draws him out into him having to make explicit claims and make explicit beliefs or express his explicit beliefs, to which he does not want to happen because he knows for a fact the moment you understand what these beliefs actually are, he'll get exposed to being a retard, and it's easier to criticize and expose his position with contradictions and flaws. Now, your position here about the physical thing, which is something which is spatial and temporal, entails a contradiction, because there are things within science, given the definition, which would not be physical given your definition, which, by the way, are the types of things which are existent in reality. So, for example, one of the things is the continuum in the, what's it called again? So the event horizon is one example of a black hole, and in a single space-time continuum, for example, it's not a single space-time continuum, but it is basically going to be something which has infinite density, which means that it has zero volume. There are things with zero volume which exist in the universe, by the way, and things with zero volume, by definition, do not have spatial extensions. They don't have length, they don't have height, and they don't have width. However, they still exist. It's something which scientists have confirmed to exist. Albert Einstein, using his mathematical equations, has predicted and proven these things' existence before they're empirically observed back in 2017, for example. So these things would entail a contradiction in your definition, because we have things which are not spatially extended, which are still the types of things which do in fact exist. So do you want to still hold to this definition, or do you want to change your definition to accommodate something which maps onto the general concept of existence, which is not contradicted by the way, scientists, right, in the field of science and physics, or by just basic facts we know about in the universe, at least if we're not as retarded as you are and as uneducated as you are. So we're going to answer the question. We're going to keep on giving another ranting session about how you cry or how you love crying about me interrupting your point. You get a yes or no to my question. Which one is it? Are you going to give a response? You can mute me now, by the way. Yeah.
Can you answer the question, sir?
Thanks, bro. Shut the fuck up. I got them.
All right. So you mentioned with black holes that they have like zero spatiality. Was that like one of the things like that you said? I just want to make sure, because it seems like
yeah, he said that.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I'm tracking right. So black holes just have warped space times. I mean, it's just like, so let me explain. Black holes are warping space time to such a mass effect that not even light can escape them. Like, it's just basic shit. I mean, like, it's just warping the space from them. The time there, you might not say it's a position, correctly as I'm like, just say, for example, relativity. For an example, relativity can be used to try and understand black holes. Relativity basically, there's like the speed formula. Travel over distance, I think. I gotta think back to fucking 8th grade science. But mainly speaking wise, just T over D is travel over distance, and mainly the black holes seemingly have an effect on such a scale that gravity around them seems to be so strong that it pulls in other things with gravitational fields, things, of course, of that nature. Space, if space was not to be existent, then gravity would not have any type of grounds within a black hole to have that type of thing where its gravity is so strong. You'd be denying gravity, of course, would not have any type of grounds for black holes. But the problem is that black holes have such a strong gravity that it brings in things from that, and it bends light to such an extent of that, right? So space is indeed required for gravity to be grounded. Otherwise, you'd be saying, yeah, since, gravity is not grounded in this specific area, despite things, of course, using such a strong gravitational pull that it pulls light in there. Unless you want to say, oh, you have the density part. So let me tell you this, right? Density, hold on, let me just, because, so gravity influences density. Do you not know that? Do you not know what density is? Density, for an example, the measure of how much a mass is contained in a given volume, calculated by dividing an object's mass by its volume, right? So, can I ask you a question? What is your definition of mass in terms of a nomological standard? Can you go ahead and answer that? Just like unmute him for a second, then put him back on mute so I can actually properly, continue my point. I just want his clarification if he has some type of, I would say distorted view of like our sciences, maybe, because he's sitting there saying we lack spatio-temporal relationships, despite black holes. Of course, in that sense. So,
All right, Apollo, you can answer this question. Go ahead, since I muted you.
Chad,
you didn't track the question.
I want him to finish his yapping session first, and then respond to every single thing afterwards and debunk his points. Go ahead and finish our yapping session. I'm not going to answer your questions when you're not even answering basic fucking yes or no questions. You're going to finish your yapping, then I'll respond afterwards. You begged for this type of speaking pattern where you're going to be taking talking stick, whereas you don't get a chance or you don't get the opportunity to answer my yes or no questions. Now, you're trying to force me to answer your questions when it benefits you. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You're going to finish your yapping session first, then afterwards I'll debunk all the nonsensical bullshit you've been saying on physics. Go ahead and finish.
Sure.
All right. See, by the way, you should of course continue. Is with this nothing's gonna progress. So go ahead.
So again, like this is like. Yeah. So again, like this just has attraction. I mean, density is of course it has fundamentals within mass. It's just dependent on the said mass of a thing, but that's the attraction, of course, within the mass. Like, I wouldn't say it's attraction, but no, like mass just has attraction in a sense, right? So specifically speaking about black holes, you would still require some type of gravitational thing and grounded formation. So if you're sitting there saying black holes have just this amount of density, sure, that's fine, but saying that they have no spatio-temporal relationship despite having warped space-time and the fact of gravitational bounds where it's grounded in that sense by the space they are capable of forming. I mean, like that's just basic preservation. And do you have any type of reductive towards what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Wait, hold on. That's it, right?
I mean, yeah, depends if you want to speak. So go ahead. I mean, explain.
All right. Bye. Now, Apollo. Oh fuck, hold on. Yeah, right here. All right, you can speak now.
I'm about to demolish this point or these points he's mentioned, and after I'm done, this space basically wrapped up. Right. So, where should I even start? So basically, just to make it clear what the type of objection I'm given here, because you're unfamiliar with this objection, there's something in philosophy called the Hempel's dilemma, and this is something which even scientists face even to this day, and it's their inability to give a proper definition of what it means for something to be physical, right? Because given a lot of definitions of what it means for something to be physical, there are either contradictions or things which would exist but are not within the category of that which is physical. Now, with respect to what you're talking about here, the point I'm making is simply that your definition of something being physical, or for something existent, is that which is physical, that which is spatio-temporal. If something is spatio-temporal, then by definition, and I repeat, by definition, it has spatial extensionality. That's height, length, or width, because we know that in physics, right, space has 3 dimensions, and I repeat, 3 dimensions, you Mongolian uneducated monkey. There's 3 dimensions, height, length, and width. I repeat, height, length, and width. There are things in the universe, you dumb fuck, which do not possess height, length, nor width. And these are things with infinite density. Infinite density implies zero volume. Zero volume entails lack of spatial extensionality. I can send the screenshots, by the way, demonstrating this, just to be clear on this. I'll just send the screenshots because you think for some reason that I'm not informed in the topic or physics. And then afterwards, I'm going to educate you on the distinction between the singularity of a black hole and the black hole itself, because for some reason you think I'm making the claim that black hole has no sort of spatial relation or causal relation in space. I'm not making that claim. I'm talking about the singularity of a black hole, you retard. So here are these 2 things. Okay. So 3 screenshots. We're going to read them together. All right. I'm going to read it for you because you cannot read. and they can't really understand basic sentences. So if you read these screenshots properly, you'll see, according to the classical theory of general relativity, a black hole's singularity, not the black hole itself holistically, the black hole's singularity, dumb fuck, is a point of infinite density where all its mass is compressed into zero volume. This has been confirmed by Einstein's mathematical equations. This is a universally agreed upon fact in science and physics and by mathematicians, by the way, mathematicians. Now they proceed to say, however, modern physics suggests this infinite density is a placeholder for our incomplete understanding, indicating where the laws of physics break down. Blah, 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 blah. Now, the other screenshot talks about what is zero volume. I just basically Googled this for you to understand. Zero volume means an object has no three-dimensional extent, occupying no space and existing only as a point. While physically impossible for any real-world object, physically impossible, they're just saying impossible by physical constraints, this is a theoretical concept used in mathematics and physics, such as the point at the intersection. So it's physically impossible, but not logically impossible. Insofar as given your definition of physical force, it will be possible. It actually exists. Now the third screenshot says, yes, in physics, infinite density implies, I don't know who's talking to the background. Is someone talking? Okay.
No,
yes,
no, okay.
In physics, who is that talking?
That was me. I said no one is talking in the background.
I heard your voice multiple times while I was talking, so that's the voice I kept on hearing. So yeah, yes, in physics, infinite density implies zero volume for a finite mass. Density is calculated as mass divided by volume, etc., etc. So we get the gist here. Seiba, whatever the fuck this retard's name is, right? There are things in the universe with infinite density. Things such as the singularity of a black hole which actually fucking exist. Things with infinite density entails having zero volume. If you have zero volume, then there's no spatial extensionality. Therefore, it would not be within the category of something which is physical, given your own definition. Given your definition of what it means for something to be physical and for something to exist, this thing, which has been confirmed by the evidence to exist, by scientists to exist, by even people like Albert Einstein, by mathematical equations to exist, would not fucking exist. And that's retarded. That's the obvious reduction to your fucking definition. And this is called the Hempel's dilemma, where you basically point out an issue with the definitions with respect to what it means for something to be physical. If you're defining physical in virtue of the ideal physics or the current physics or the past physics, right? So I'm going to rerun the points again, right? And then attack your black hole argument. Now, with respect to the black hole argument, I'm not telling you that the black hole itself is not physical, retard. I'm saying the singularity of a black hole, given your own definition, is not physical. There's a distinction between the black hole as a whole, which is the entire region of a space-time where gravity is so intense that nothing can even escape it, and the singularity of the black hole, which is the exact center of a black hole, whereas the mathematics of general relativity predicts what lies there. There's a distinction there. The singularity of a black hole is different from the entire black hole itself, right? It's the point. It's a point. It's a mathematical fucking point, which has no extensions by definition. If you knew mathematics, if you knew physics, you know that that thing or any point in mathematics or in physics do not have spatial extensions, and there are such things which are confirmed to exist in this universe. That's the obvious reduction. Now, hopefully, I'll get a relevant response which actually attacks the facts that are presented by physicists, by the way, by mathematicians, by the way, or I can get something which is a philosophical argument, perhaps, which undermines my argument. But until then, I don't think that you're going to be any person with any level of credibility, because currently credibility is in the entire source right now, given the continuous number of blunders, evasions, prevarications, obfuscations, and dodges that you've committed in this conversation. Now, hopefully, let's hear a response to the dumb fucks. Give a response, retard.
All right.
Okay, can you server mute him or
Yeah, there is.
yeah. So one thing I want to address is that you did not clarify a singularity of a black hole. I mean, you just mentioned black holes, so I mean, any type of general conclusion can be assumed from that. Two, even if you want to bring up the logical possibility point, you're saying something that's like not physical in the sense, like I guess I can make the claim that sitting there saying, oh yeah, a physical sense, could include other type of concrete existence which can be non-physical. I mean, like, you can sit there and accept the physical things exist and, sit there saying, oh yeah, non-physical things exist, because I did just say it's like a physical stance. I didn't say, oh yeah, or deny universally. If you think that's a universal claim in denying, I would like to say, that would be physicalism type B. I'm not taking some type of physicalist type B stance on anyways. I'm just saying, oh yeah, it's concretely existing, that, so I could just sit there and say, oh yeah, that can be inclusive towards what I'm saying because, but the thing is that you asked me if it's logically possible in that sense to, not physical things to exist, of course, I agree that would be a contradiction, but only under the conditional if you were going to use the imagination to sit there and argue for it, because you asked me if imagination or just can things exist within inside imagination. I gave the conditional for that. So through the dialogue, I would sit there and say, I think the only conditional for the contradiction to actually go through would be if the imagination thing would go through, and that would be providing for the conflationist stance. So I wouldn't sit there and say, oh yeah, it's a total disagreement, or, sit there saying, oh yeah, it completely debunks your point and agreement, you conceded to this factor, so I win, ha ha ha. When, again, there's a lackage of a universal claim, it's not the same stance. Again, I gave a conditional for the logical possibility. You did not meet that conditional, so of course I would agree, oh yeah, there's some certain exceptions for, logically possible things. I accepted a contradiction in that sense because I was a physicalist, of course, not type B though, but of course I accepted in that sense the conditional thing. That's one thing I didn't mention, and that's when I was yapping for the first time when moderation was actually applied to it. So, I mean, either way, we can argue about existence all you want. We still have to get to the point about God existing. If you want to argue for a black hole being God, I don't know if you're going to do that, but I mean, preferably, I guess we can just move on to that point and say, oh yeah, this didn't really go anywhere concerning the dialogue, but I mean, you can go ahead and, give an argument for God. I mean, if you're going to argue for God in that sense. But again, I still don't see any type of relevance to the point here now, sitting there since you clarify the singularity of a black hole and not, black holes in general, because if you did try and invoke, black holes in general, I would sit there and call you a retard, but clearly you clarified it was a singularity of a black hole that had the infinite density. So I can sit there and say, I didn't completely understand that point because, of course, from the conversation we're having, I would view you as, incredibly, dishonest at that point. But since you clarified, I would say, via knowledge-wise, now that I know that, I guess I can accept, what you're saying. And my bad for the stutter, that's bad. But specifically speaking, I feel like we still have to get to the ontology of God or an argument for God. If you're going to argue, instead of arguing for existence or what we accept existence to be, some type of meta-ontological status, we still have to talk about the concrete entity of God existing, since you, of course, accepted you're a theist. So can we move on to that point? Yes or no?
All right. Hold on.
Yeah, so the imagination point is relevant to what we're talking about, right? The imagination point has no relevance to your definition of existence, which is talking about something being physical. So the reductive given towards your definition, it has no connection to whether or not you believe imaginations exist. I could care less about you believe in imaginations existing right now. At this very point in time, I could care less about that. That was a question that was being offered previously because you were refusing to give a definition of existence. Now that you've given a definition of existence, right, a proper definition, or rather a clear definition, not a proper definition. The definition is still trash, right? Now that you've given the definition, what it means for something to be physical or something to exist, right? I need to ask you the question about imaginations. That's number one. Number two is, right, you don't even understand what's even going on. You don't understand the very fact that your definition of what it means for something to exist entails that there are things which do in fact exist, which don't exist. Things which are empirically and scientifically confirmed to be a part of this universe, to not be the types of things which are existent. That's the entailment. That's outside, by the way. So that's the entailment from your definition. That's the entailment of your definition. The entailment of your definition is there being things which are confirmed, which are empirically and scientifically and mathematically confirmed to exist, which don't in fact exist. That's the entailment of your position. And that's a contradiction. That's a contradiction with respect to the conventional, general, proper, coherent understanding of what it means for something to exist, and even towards your own existentialism. Right? Now, you said I've not given a proper distinction between singularity and the black hole itself. I told you the fucking distinction. I told you it. And you did not hear the distinction. Seconds after I explained what the distinction is between what it means for something to be the singularity of a black hole and what it means for me to talk about the black hole itself, you say that I did not give a distinction. So it's just a matter of you just failing to track basic points of the conversation. So I'll repeat the definition again. Right? The singularity describes the central point where gravity becomes infinite. And space-time curvature diverges. That's what the singularity is. It's the central point of a black hole where gravity becomes infinite and space-time curvature diverges, right? And that point, because it's a mathematical point, it's a point which is by definition something with no spatial extensionality, is something which by your own definition is not physical and by your own definition does not exist. But we know this exists. We know this exists because you see effects of this given thing which does not have spatial extensionality, which is, for example, the fact of gravity becoming infinite as a result of this thing in existence and space-time curvature divergent. So we know this to exist. We know this thing which does not have spatial extensionality by definition, by its own nature, to exist, given the effects we see within the physical world and physics, right? A black hole, on the contrary, is the entire region of space-time from the event horizon on inward. So it's the entire region, right? That's the difference. So it's like a gravitational trap for everything in the universe, whether it's matter or light. It's a gravitational trap for those things where things cannot escape it. It's the entire region of the gravitational trap. The singularity, on the contrary, is going to be the central point of this gravitational trap, right? Whereas it presents a breakdown of the known physics we are aware of. Sorry. So there's a clear distinction. Real quickly. Who's this talking? Oh, Shinner's talking to the background. Shinner, go mute this mic. So someone mute him for the time being. Someone mute the person, please. Thank you.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is simply that I've just established a very clear, in-depth, elaborate distinction between the singularity of a black hole and the black hole itself, the entire region of the black hole. So seiba cannot go ahead and claim I've not given a clear distinction because I've done it for the second time in this conversation. So given that explanation, it is the case there's a clear contradiction in this meta-ontology, given his meta-ontology and his existential. He's existentially committed to a physicalist perspective, which is what majority of scientists are, whereas despite that, at the same time, he's not committed to the existence of non-physical things by his own definition, which, by the way, this thing by his own definition, I'm not saying this is the actual definition of physical because there are much better definitions of physical. It's not just a spatio-temporal thing, but he's defining a concrete physical thing to be just spatio-temporal, and that's it. Given that definition, there are things which exist which are non-spatio-temporal because there are things without spatial extensionality. And so, given his own concept of existence, there is a contradiction. There's a clear, obvious contradiction, and so it's either going to force him into a conceptual or semantical revision. With that being said, there's not really that much to address otherwise. He has committed an obvious blunder on his definition of what it means for something to exist. He's committed obvious blunders on physics and his misunderstanding and conceptions of these concepts in physics. He doesn't even know what infinite density is. He doesn't know what singularity actually is. No, he knows nothing. He really knows nothing, and that's why he keeps on dodging my passes from the beginning of this conversation to even this point in this conversation where he's not even addressing and responding to my actual points here. So, to wrap things up, because Shin has to go literally right now, I'll end the recording right here. We can judge based off these points, right? These points of him basically being confused about what it means for something to exist. These points in meta-ontology, right? Because I'm not going to be debating you whether there's a power core about. I'm going to be debating knowing that there's an obvious equivalent because it captures what I'm saying much better, and power core but is light as fuck, right? So we can end things off right here because Shin got to go literally right now. You got to work in like a couple of minutes. And then from there on, we can either continue the conversation or we judge or determine who wins this debate based on the points that are being argued in this conversation, which, by the way, you got literally ripped apart. You got fucking embarrassed. You got turned inside out. There's no possible way in which you can look back on this fucking conversation and not be fucking embarrassed and take a fucking lecture or a note from this. There's no possible way, unless you're delusional as fuck. So that's basically the whole point I'm going to make here. If you have any more responses you want to offer on there, give responses which I thought was going to be attacking my argument. But if you have no other responses, you can either head to conclusions or just end things off here, and that's it for the thing.
All right. Seiba, you can go ahead.
So before you end the recording, I got one final response. I've been saving this since you want to end the recording. So the original topic was a discussion about God's existence, not necessarily existence. He just wanted to question me about existence. And I gave a conditional for my acceptance for specific contradictions when coming to mind independent things about logical possibilities. I asked him if there was a motor realist stance. He said no. And obviously, speaking wise, so I'm going to go over my course of the conversation. I'll provide this final response. Then we can sit there and end the recording because, this guy, wants to rush today because Shinra has to, go. But mainly speak-wise, the original conversation was for God's existence. I didn't see an argument for God's existence. Mainly, we just discussed over my definition for meta-ontology, despite originally the conversation being, of course, starting off with specific definitions for speaking-wise, God's existence. And he got confused in the first part where he, of course, sat there and said, oh, yeah, my definition's out of alignment. When I sat there and asked him, is it in alignment? He agreed to that and conceded that it was in alignment with Abrahamic religions via giving the 99 names of, a person I can't, the thing I believe in, I can't really say because of the room I'm in. But the thing is that he agreed to that. And he got confused and said, I'm the one saying that his definition is not in line with that, despite me saying that my analytics were in question, were specifically, of course, in alignment with being a disagreement to Abrahamic things. So, and then he, asked, oh yeah, do you agree to my, definition so we can get on with this specifically, right? And even then, I, of course, sat there and asked him for what operation are we talking about, of course, arguing for the definition, or are we taking stance on the definition or an agreement, right? So he repeated the question a few times despite me asking the clarifying question. Then he finally answered when I didn't, and he just kept asking yes or no questions, which, of course, was an attempt to look rhetorical, but he did not look rhetorical. He just looked retarded, not answering the fucking questions because he kept fucking pesterizing or, of course, just fucking procrastinating to try and run away from the said questioning, right? So, again, following from that point, we went on to meta-ontology, and he kept confusing my definitions because apparently he kept cutting me off, right? So, my definition was basically existence is something that is caused by a cause that is not God, but concretely exists, of course, in that sense, and takes up something with a physicalist thing, right? I didn't take physicalism type B because I made the distinction towards the ending of the recording, but of course, since we're, of course, going to end the recording, it's going to be in there, I'll try and find the timestamp, but I clarified I was not taking some type of physicalist type B stance, which would accept all processes, including consciousness, etc., concrete things are physical, right? That would include singularities. But of course, the conditional in question, which I prepped up, was of course my response towards him ready to conflate imagination with logical possibilities and concrete reality, right? So I even asked him, are you talking about some type of motor realist stance, of course, when you're accepting another world? He said no, not that type of logical possibility. And of course, he said that's open to conception. So, okay, that's fine. That's very fine. There's no problem with that. But mainly speaker-wise, we got on to the problem about black holes, where he provided a reductio to sit in there. Physicalism type B, which I clarified towards the end of the recording, which was not my stance about within definition. But so I sat there and said that, specifically speaking, again, not physical type B, so I can sit there and say, oh yeah, that's inclusive towards my definition when I say concrete, right? And I said bilateral towards physical things existing, and of course, I denied that, similar-wise, that, of course, that, oh yeah, non-concrete existing things, right? So basically they don't exist. That's how I interpreted that they don't exist. But clearly this thing is capable of existing. So, I mean, there wasn't no point to really attack me with or say, oh yeah, there's contradictions within my type of definition. When clearly it does exist and I'm accepting existing things, I would say, oh yeah, that's concretely existing because it's capable of having some type of actual nature, which is realist, or just some type of realist stance on it, of course, which is proven to be the case via mathematics, Einstein's relativity points. And like the confusion on the point with the black hole instead of the singularity point, he said, oh yeah, he made the distinction, but of course he didn't track the part where I said, oh yeah, this is before, the point you made about the singularity, right? I said this is a different time before you made the singularity point. It's before that. Right? So, of course, you made the distinction, but that was after my response where I said, oh, yeah, of course, basically there's attraction, gravity, and the space is needed there for the gravitational mass there to even there. So the physical spaces need to be there, of course. And he was talking about within the black hole, the center of time space where it's infinite density. That's pretty obvious to sit there and say about black holes, right? Thought he was just retarded, and obviously talking about the point about black holes in general, because he didn't specify. He was talking about a singularity in that point, right? The singularity is much more affirmative and, of course, clarifying, rather than sitting there saying, oh yeah, black holes have, infinite density and don't have spatial-temporal relationships. The singularity does not have spatial-temporal relationships. The factor is that the black hole itself, the essentially which pull things in, that has a spatial-temporal relationship. So he did not clarify until that point, which is the reason why I'm sitting here saying he did not clarify in that specific point, but then made the affirmative to make that distinction, right? So, of course, I'm affirming those type of things, right? And clearly he did not track that because he's sitting there saying, oh yeah, my definition, has contradictions, despite me even stating it's not a physicalist type B stance, because I'm still allowing for specific things to be in there because of the conditional I set up with the imagination point, calling them out for, if you're going to use that, that's a conflationist thing, right? It's a conflationist between subjective experience and reality, right? So I even specify when I was saying, oh yeah, it's bilateral, that wise physical things within reality would be including that instead of spatial temporal things. Physical things exist, right? But I did not outright deny, of course, or make a universal claim for physical things. I just said that existence is within that point. I didn't make any type of negation through my semantics. So if he wants to play semantics game, or the semantics game, the script, the ask yourself script, there's no type of negation towards the specific black hole point. Oh, no, not the black hole point. The concrete existence point. Sorry, that was a blunder there, I would admit. But even then, this doesn't make up for the other factor. What was it? Let me think. Yeah, we can just get onto the God's existence point. I didn't see no argument. We just debated over existence. There was no argument for God in question. Like, he said he was taking the negation towards deism, I guess. I couldn't track what he was trying to say into that, but I told him I was a weak atheist. So I was already taking some type of weak atheistic stance, which accepted the existence of a deity, but not Abrahamic religions, which is what I clarified, of course. And he said his definition for, the said deity in question would, of course, be that, of course, it aligns with that, which is at the start of the recording at question 2. So the mess up, which you do not realize here, is that you did not provide an argument for God in question. You just debated on existence with me, which is completely irrelevant to the point and just talks about meta-ontology instead of actually sufficiently getting up to a point about the argument for God or debating on an argument for your specific definition in question, which is what I was trying to also get into, right? But clearly we moved on to meta-ontology for whatever fucking reason you wanted, right? So now that that's over with, my clarification, we can end the recording if you truly believe you won that. So again, you can go ahead and post this, I guess. I give consent. You can sit there and say, oh, yeah, I beat the fuck out of Seiba. But clearly, I don't see anyone winning this conversation as so far it's going, specifically with how clearly the communication was going. Both were bad faith. I'll admit I was bad faith trying to overtalk him at the same time. But when I'm trying to talk, he keeps overtalking me or just trying to interrupt. So, again, that's the reason why I'm bad faith in that specific conversation. So I will admit both had mess ups. I'm not going to sit here and be egotistical about it. So, GG Apollo, right? GG about the conversation. I'm not going to rub it in or anything. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, I won. But it is what it is. So I'm going to save the recording, and let's see what happens.
All right. Can I mute Apollo now?
He wanted to save the recording, so I already saved the recording. There's no point arguing.
All right, cool.
It has to go. So, I mean, it's what it is.